It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on when those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day in the first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on when those sirens are gone. Another bad dream is still in my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on when those sirens are gone. It keeps going on when those sirens are gone.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show and your First Responder Network with John and Sam. Welcome, Sam.
Hey, John. How's it going?
Doing good, doing good. What a rough week all around for everybody. Just want to wish prayers and thoughts and prayers to everybody out there who's fighting a good fight. We have a lot to talk about for our first responders on this particular episode because we have family PTSD that we're going to be discussing. And, you know, this Friday, a lot of first responders are going to be losing their jobs, you know, due to mandates that, you know, last year's heroes are this year's zeros in political eyes. And, you know, when we talk about PTSD in the first responder traumatically, let's see how that's going to that's how that's going to overfall onto our families if these first responders start being laid off with no pay or suspended, or and in some cases are uplifting or uprooting their families and moving to other states that are not mandating these vaccinations in our first responders, our nurses, our firefighters. It's crazy. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, this has been going on for a while now, depending on what state you're in, and whether it is something that they're forced to do and they're making the decision to allow the departments to fire them for financial reasons because the unemployment they can claim, or those that are just in a tough place. And I have friends, I saw one of them Sunday here locally, excuse me, who's in a tough place where he's looking for alternate employment, but he's making them fire him. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of the law enforcement and first responders out there that are saying no to the employers that are either leaving, and unfortunately they're leaving their communities. And it's a wake-up call to say, it's not us, it's these unconstitutional and flat out, I don't want to have an argument about it, is flat out unconstitutional mandates that are coming down from on high, meaning out of the White House. And by the way, folks, we don't get our rights from our government. Go back to the Constitution. Our rights come from God. It's God, Constitution, and then the law. Okay, that's how it flows. That's Constitution 101. I want to give a huge shout out to the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association of North Texas. We had a huge conference right here on Saturday over the weekend. Peace officers, sheriffs showed up, and the public was able to purchase tickets to hear some incredible speakers, all experts in the Constitution. So if you haven't read your First Amendment lately, you might want to go read it again. Hey, I went to law school. I studied this, and I even failed their little quiz. Okay, so there's always room to learn or learn again, and
right.
that's what it's about. And it is time that we wake up across this country, that we start saying no and pushing back, because you don't serve your legislators, you don't serve your lawmakers, okay? You serve your community. You ultimately, like I said, your rights come from whoever you believe is your higher power. Where they come from.
Your higher power.
That's it. Stay strong. Fight the good fight. Know that you have states like Texas, and you got to pick the department and do your research, because not all the departments and sheriff's offices are playing nice. Florida, giving you a $5,000 signing bonus.
Yeah.
Pick up your families, uproot them, because it's your lives on the line. Move them to places that are going to support you, that love you. And like I said, we got pick and choose. If you come to Texas, just FYI, you got to have a hard discussion with the department you're looking at, or you have friends there, because it's not the same as what Florida is doing.
Right. And
yeah.
With that being said, it's your right. We're not disparaging anybody for getting the vaccine.
Absolutely not.
Or saying,
your
hey,
choice.
you have to do what's right for you and your family and your health, and under what your doctor says. Listen, I don't get the flu vaccine. All right. Does that make me a spreader of the flu? I mean, it's my choice. It's my right. My wife gets the flu vaccine. My father-in-law gets it because they feel comfortable getting it. If you don't feel comfortable putting something into your body, don't do it. You're not a murderer. You're not. Listen, there's a lot of speculation on how these vaccines work. Do your due diligence, like Sam said. And you know what? And if your department's not supporting you, there are plenty of departments out there that will support you, that will honor your choice. you know,
Absolutely.
and to tell you the truth, you want to be in a department that honors that, because you know what? In the law enforcement field or in firefighter or in first responder field, if they have your back on this thing, they're going to have your back most of the way on any other issues that should arise. So,
Yep. And
you
we
know,
even have states like California, it's a different sheriff's department, you know, we call
yep.
around because some
Well,
of them are
LA,
just not playing. Yeah.
LA, Democratic chief.
Is it LA
Police
County
chief.
Sheriff? I thought it was not. It was I thought it was a different sheriff's department.
No, he was LA. He was LA.
Okay.
You know what? I could be wrong, but it was one of the biggest departments in LA, and he was a sheriff, Democratic chief, right? Who told his department, he goes, "If you don't want the shot, I back you.
Yeah.
I back you 100%." And he's gonna, you know, they go into battle together. He's gonna stand by his men. Unlike what's going on in the NYPD, where a directive and our unions are trying to get answers, and they're not even getting the answers on what Friday's going to bring these cops.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you haven't figured out what's going on, it's not about stopping the spread of a virus. Okay. It's not
It's about control. It's about control.
Complete control. We're probably going to be removed off of Facebook and YouTube now because I said the V word, but it is total. It's about total control. That's the plan. And it is absolutely your choice to do what you think is best for you. And it's causing a lot of stress, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And it's not just the first responder that's affected. It is the entire family. And then whether it's spouse, partner, or spouse, partner, kids,
right?
Roommates, extended family, you know?
You think about this, you know, because a husband and wife may have different views. They could have different political views, and they could have different views on the vaccine, right? So what happens if the wife or I don't want to gender neutral, you know, but
say the spouse.
Yeah, the spouse. Say the spouse who is not on the job, right? Who is not a first responder, is pro-vaccine and make, you know, I want to get and gets the vaccine, but the other spouse who is on the job says, "Hey, no, I'm against it. Those are against my moral fibers. I don't trust it, whatever." Right? But now my job is telling me to get the vaccine. Now, this one spouse saying, "Well, you're going to lose your job. We're going to lose our income." Think about the clash and the internal turmoil that is going to cause between husband and wife and the family unit.
Well, you just said in the beginning when you kind of introduced that thought, you said different political views again, because it's not about health.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no.
If it came down to having a conversation about what's best for our health, it would be a little bit different. This is not that.
If it was about health, we all saw what our president did yesterday. He did exactly that at Amtrak. He wasn't wearing his mask while he was giving his speech. He coughed into his hand, and then he went around shaking everybody else's hand. And then while he was in Virginia, he was surrounded by people taking selfies, no mask. So if it was about health, he would have made sure, he's the president, he would have made sure that everybody around him had masks so he doesn't get sick. He would have had a mask. So it's, you know, it's that hypocrisy that is spreading across. It's our news media that is placing fear into people and making people drive their cars with their mask on when they're alone. And like I saw the other day, I saw a guy driving a motorcycle with a mask on his face.
I saw this guy on a scooter, same thing.
It's serious?
Like, you can't fix stupid. That's all I say. Yeah. I shake my head. You can't fix stupid because you're going to give the air COVID or something. I don't know. Anyway, you know, this stress around it, especially with our first responders. I posted an article today, and we can talk a little bit about that in the show. So you can go on our pages and check out the article. But it really, this time in particular is having a huge effect on our first responders. And, you know, let's not leave our veterans out there, because we got a lot of veterans that continue their service, like our guest tonight, as first responders. because it's right here in their heart, and they know what they were put on this earth to do. It's not easy. We didn't sign up for it because it was easy. It's truly living a life of service. And do you want to make that transition, or just start introducing? Or
well, you froze, so I didn't really hear some of that. Yes, make the transition. Let's get them in.
I froze again. Sorry.
Look, you froze again with a good face. You didn't have one of those.
Oh, yay!
You're
gonna have to make me a montage of Sam's frozen faces.
You had a good freeze. You had a good freeze.
SFF, Sam's frozen faces. Anyway, we have a super awesome show tonight. I think I posted earlier, and I'm forgetting, it's some crazy number, like more than 40 years combined active service. And Meg is a proud wife of a combat veteran who lives with post-traumatic stress disorder. She's currently a police officer herself with 15 years law enforcement experience. And in January 2017, she almost lost her husband, Eric, to his battle with post-traumatic stress by suicide. That experience and struggle rocked their worlds and changed their life's mission. They now share their stories to help others know that it's okay not to be okay, and seeking help is not a weakness, but a strength. And although she has lived with anxiety and depression since her late teenage years, her symptoms severely worsened in early 2019. She was diagnosed with moderate PTSD from the traumatic night when her husband went missing and was suicidal. I got to put these on. Thank you, COVID. Many times the well-being of spouses or significant others of veterans and first responders are forgotten about. Their mental health cannot be forgotten or overlooked, and we battle alongside our partners and are extremely affected by their mental health. We are the silent warriors. In 2018, Meg, along with her husband Eric, founded the nonprofit organization Making Everything Good, MEG, yay, to assist and support the needs of individuals, families, and organizations associated with public safety, military, veterans, and their local community. Eric is the president of Denny's Got My Six LLC and shares his story to help others break the mental health stigma. Now, Eric is a retired combat veteran with 20 years of military service, split between the Marine Corps and the Air Force. During his military career, Eric was deployed on numerous contingency operations and did 3 combat tours to Afghanistan and Iraq. During his second tour to Afghanistan in 2002, Eric was involved in a firefight that left mental scars and left him suffering from post-traumatic stress. In 2017, Eric's struggle with post-traumatic stress became too much for him, and he became suicidal. With the support of his wife, he began the long road to getting help for the first time. Eric began going through multiple treatment modalities and attending veterans programs. After attending all of this, he was still struggling. And in 2018, he was selected to attend this Able Veterans Trauma Program, was paired with his service dog, Denny. Maybe we'll meet Denny. And after both the dogs, actually, a year after Eric's suicide attempt, Eric and his wife, Meg, began speaking out about the stigma associated with mental health and asking for help among veterans and first responders. And they go and have spoken all over the United States on many different shows, lent their expertise and their voice to many organizations. They've done interviews. They're here tonight. So we want to welcome them. And Eric is currently a firefighter paramedic in Northern Virginia, and he's been doing that for 12 years. He's also a part of the technical rescue team. Without further ado, Meg and Eric, welcome to Mad Radio. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
You bet. You bet. And let me just, I'm going to open the comment stream right now. We've got lots of people already saying hello. And guys, if you have your spouse, significant other, partner, to bring them into the living room or wherever you're watching the show tonight, because this is going to be super impactful.
I'm getting mine.
And John's getting his. And I've got my 2 puppies right here. You know, you guys, you guys and John have known each other a lot longer than we have. We had the opportunity to meet when you were here in Dallas, and I was completely just drawn into your story because it really is. It's not just living and navigating a marriage with PTS. It's learning how to survive with PTS, because you guys are both on the job. And although that's not necessarily unique, because we do have a lot of first responders that are either both law enforcement, both firefighters, you guys law enforcement and firefighting, we've got EMTs, we've got dispatch. So we've got these blended families, and also, you know, kids that are grown that may also be in serving their community. What is happy anniversary, by the way? You're getting tons of happy anniversaries. You bring what struck me is that you bring a sense of just calm and like, it's going to be okay. There's just a couple things you got to do.
I wish it was that easy.
Well, you know, the longer you're working at it, right? So I like to say in the Secret Service, we talked about you practice like you play. Okay. And for everybody watching, it's going to take practice. It's going to take work. And so, you know, Meg and Eric, can you just briefly, you know, touch on, you know, the tough times? And I know, Meg, you shared with me, you know, what it was like when Eric was at his lowest point, but really how it affected both of you, because your bios just kind of skim over it.
Go ahead, honey.
So let me digress for 1 second real quick. You guys were talking on the intro about the impact of COVID and everything on the families. This is something I've been talking a lot about recently, because I see a lot of departments, agencies are missing it. 2020 was really tough on the first responders out there on the street, worried about getting exposure, worrying about taking it home. And then when all that started going on and we went into this mass hysteria, you had spouses that were losing their jobs because their company shut down. They started wrestling with childcare, homeschooling, all these things. And everybody navigated through that during 2020. 2021 comes around, and now that's still going on. And we throw this mess of the mandated shots on. And I think so many organizations are missing the mark that they don't have anything in place to take care of not only the employee who's wrestling with all this stuff going on at home, but they don't have anything for the families. And so, like you guys are saying, you know, the first responder goes home, it's teamwork. You know, that's Meg and I have always been a team. It's teamwork. And so when the first responder goes back to work and there's issues with the team back home, that's going to come to work. And that's where organizations aren't seeing that. You know, Sam, like you said, we play how we practice. I was always taught when I was in the military as a leader, if I wanted my men to give 100%, I had to make sure I was giving them 100% of support so they could give me that. And so I didn't want to digress too much, but I think that's a huge topic that we are missing right now, is taking care of our people dealing with COVID and all the things associated with it, and at the same time taking care of the families, because it's all intertwined.
Eric, let me ask you a question. With both of you being first responders, right? I don't know if we told where you lived, or what department you're with, but are both your departments or in your cities, are they mandating this shot in your areas?
Yes, actually, we both work for the same county in Virginia. We can't say the name online, unfortunately. And the county actually has mandated it, so it's a county thing as opposed to a department thing.
So now I don't want you to tell me if you're pro or against or whatever, but if you both chose to not say get vaccinated, now you're losing 2 salaries, right? Right, and that's a big stress.
We have the option of getting tested, I think, weekly if we don't get the vaccine.
That's what most of the places around here do.
Yeah.
Now you're allowed not to get it, but you have to be tested every week.
I think that's going to be only temporary. I think these organizations that have already said you have to get vaccinated or get tested, as they see the cost of testing weekly they're eventually going to say,
New York just did away with it. New York did away with the testing, and now they went straight to the to only vaccinated. So, but I mean, now getting back to the stress level and the post traumatic stress and everything else. Now, say Meg, say you were for the vaccine, and Eric, you were against it, right? Now there's that big internal push to go, well, honey, get it. You're going to lose your salary. Well, I don't want to get it. And there's a fight right there, So
I don't think anybody really wanted to get the vaccine. Anybody. I think a lot of people that did get it were frightened into it. Oh, your 83-year-old father lives with you.
Yeah.
You have a pre-exposed condition. You have a heart condition. I think we were feared into it. I don't say that it's good, bad, and different. I don't know. We don't know the residuals of it for a while,
right.
But that causes a lot of problems.
Now, with post-traumatic stress, do you feel, and like I was talking to Brian 12 about this on the last show, where he's finding a lot of veterans now who are feeling anxiety or feeling more pressure on top of their post-traumatic stress, on top of 2020, everything they had to deal with. Do you guys feel like you're feeling that squeeze a little bit? And is it making it a little harder to heal?
As a veteran that struggles with PTS and everything, I rolled into the vaccination, and I always have, just because of being in the military and never really having a choice. But I see where there's this talk at work all the time for people that don't want it, and I see their stress. So I feel it a little bit, and I feel for people that if they don't want to get it, they shouldn't be forced to. This isn't like the polio vaccination or something like that. We lose just as many people, if not more, to the flu, and we've never mandated the flu vaccination. So I'm a proponent of, if people want to get a vaccination, go get it. If you don't. That's your choice.
Now, let's get into the post-traumatic stress in the family life, because Meg and Eric, I think me and Tara probably went through almost the same thing as you did, the same bout. Me and Eric were on the same page, and you as spouses really had to pick up the pieces pretty much and deal with it, which now you guys have that vicarious trauma. You have a second, secondary trauma.
I'm not going to say that, I was myself. I'm still not where I was before the incident happened. I'm not. But your support network at the Chateau was phenomenal. They called me or texted me or emailed me every single day. I had Sam. I had Deborah McElhaney. I had Judy Lamb, 12, Mongo, Rocky, all the girls. I had a great support network. But medically speaking, I don't suffer from PTSD. Maybe now I do, but I deal with things differently. I think as women we do. I wasn't in the military. I wasn't a first responder. I'm just a mom, wife. But for them to reach out to me, it was really hard, really heartwarming every day. They told me what I should do, how to deal with this, and write things down. I had to send it to them. It was like homework every day.
So how do you guys, so Meg, when you go to your job, Eric, you're at your job, I would imagine sometimes the shifts are not the same. With the stresses that you both have, compounded by you both have had the clinical diagnosis, as me and John, of post-traumatic stress disorder. When it rears its ugly head and you guys are like doing this, how do you do this?
Well, pass it right over to Meg.
Because she's going to give a much better answer than I would.
No, more honest answer.
Well, yeah.
It's kind of hard to go like this when Eric is having I call it an episode, or it's rearing its ugly head, because I compare PTSD to kind of like a virus where it's very dormant and then it can become active again for however long it wants to be, or short periods, long periods, and it goes back down and it's dormant again. Like, it just depends on where you are. But when he has active PTSD, it is not easy to be around him. It's not easy to mesh, to be completely honest, because I have an aversion to him. And part of my PTSD is his behavior is a trigger for me. So when he's acting that way, or, you know, just being short-tempered and mad and nasty and that kind of stuff, I isolate. So then we have to regroup. And typically I will give him some time, and I will then tell him, you know, and I have to be very honest and firm with him that, you know, I don't like being around you right now. You're not the same, you know, person that you were 2 months ago. So you need to figure it out. And he's been going to therapy for over 2 years now, consistently once a week, minimally. So it extends into me telling him, hey, you need to really work with your therapist on this, because it's affecting our marriage.
But you know it's not his fault.
So
yeah, time out on that one.
Wait, go ahead.
So PTSD is not his fault, and I get that, but you still can control your behaviors and your actions to a point. And when you're getting nasty and saying things that hurt people and that kind of thing, when you know something is going to hurt, or you're going to do something that hurts someone, I feel that's not an excuse.
All right, I'm just going to get on board with Eric, and it's not because it's a man thing or anything else.
That's all right.
But I'm going to be totally honest, because I've always been very vulnerable. I'm not a violent guy. Okay, so I'm not. She knows I break TVs. TVs are my go-to. You know,
washing machines. Washing machines.
Walls.
So,
walls
but
too, walls.
I would ever strike her or hit her. So sometimes when a trigger and I lash out, right? I may say things harmful that I don't mean, but it's such a rage of anger, and I don't know how to release anything else besides that anger without getting violent. And that it's like a buildup. It's like road rage almost. And it sucks that she's got to be the blunt of that. It really does. And I don't mean it to be. So that's when I say it's really not his fault, because a trigger, here it is. And I think Sam knows this too. I have the 5 dogs, and I can't stand when they're all barking at one time. It drives me nuts.
Not always.
It triggers me. No, but sometimes it does.
Yes,
it triggers me.
Does. Yes.
And
it's the same with the
kids.
I'll
lash out at her, which I know
makes me all,
which makes her a little shaky.
And I've never been that way.
And I don't mean to.
It makes me all
but it's
jittery.
something I can't control. I mean, I'm learning to get better, but it's something that I just
leave
know.
alone. I walk away.
So I'm gonna talk. I'm connecting with Meg here, and it's not a girl thing. I think that where for me, the longer I spent in my therapy, the EMDR, and came to an awareness of A, what are my triggers, and B, when it triggers, how do I deal with it? And whether it's like, hey, you got to give me a moment, because it was always easier for me to talk to somebody outside the home than turn to my spouse inside the home. Because yes, John, there are times when our spouses are the brunt of our anger. It's an immediate apology. I'm like, whoa, out of line, sorry. But unless you A, get the help, to B, understand your triggers, to C, build that awareness, to D, not continue to make somebody else your PTSD doormat, if you will. That's where I think a lot of marriages can go sideways, because they can never get here, because it's well, you always do this. Oh yeah, well, you always do this. And there's never a support or an understanding or a want of understanding.
But I think as spouses, you kind of, I know for myself, like you let things. But I've told him for years. I mean, I'm so glad he finally did get the help. Not the way it happened, but I've said it for years. This isn't you. So it finally happened. Yes, he's getting help. You still need to go see people though, which you do take
It's an
steps back.
ongoing process.
Yes, he needs to continue. I'm not saying every week, every month, whatever, but you need somebody to talk to outside of here. But I think because as spouses, whether it's Steve or your husband, your wife, whatever it may be, a partner, I think we let it go for so long. How do you now for me to say like, no, I've had enough. Stop. I'm done. I feel like it's just going to make it worse.
You have the right to say that. Every bit of right to say that.
I have.
And you should, and that's good. And you have to make sure you phrase it, I don't want to say appropriately, but like for me, when he was all up in my shit one day, I just finally looked at him and I was like, I don't like to be around you. And that was a clue, like, hey, my wife doesn't like to be around me. There's something going on. Like obviously something, that he was dealing with, but you have every right to say that and I'm not walking away from him. Would I do this all over again and, be in the same shoes that I am now? Yes, I would, because I love my husband.
She's crazy.
Right. But you know what? I have learned now. I'll preface things sometimes. Like if he's getting ugly, I'll be like, no, don't get mad. I'm just saying this. This is how I feel. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but I always preface it.
You're allowed to feel the way you're allowed.
I don't agree with what you're doing right now, and you're snapping. Don't snap at me. I'm not doing it. And then of course I'll get to tears because I'm so anxious. And I've never had that before since all this happened. Now I have to. There are times where I feel like I got to ground myself because I'm on eggshells sometimes.
Yep, it's always on eggshells as a spouse.
And Tara, I would say on that one is you shouldn't have to be anxious. You shouldn't feel like you're walking around on eggshells.
I know that, but I am.
Well, and that's something you need to work on. I know for Meg and I really don't get short or angry with her based on triggers. There's still a lot of layers of the onion that I'm peeling back and working through, and I carry a lot of crap still inside me that I don't open up or talk about to people. If I start to go down that path to the dark place again, right away I raise my hand and I say, hey, I need some help. I'm really struggling bad. But it's when I let the little things, the little stresses, the little anxieties build up and build up and build up, then all of a sudden I just explode. And that's when Meg has to say, hey, you're being an a-hole, or hey, I don't like being around you. And what I've learned from that is it's that communications piece is what keeps us, grounded and going, because when she says that, then I have to take a break from things. I have to go off and I have to sit and reflect and realize, okay, I'm getting stressed out about XYZ and I'm taking it out on Meg, and Meg's not XYZ. So why am I taking it out on her? And it's just that at the moment it happens, the moment I explode, she's the one that's there. So, and I never use my PTSD as an excuse. I never used it as an excuse before. I hated when people would say, oh, it's because of PTSD. Yeah, I'm screwed up in the head because of it, but that doesn't justify me being an a-hole or treating Meg bad. And thankfully, I've never been violent towards her.
Not saying it's a justification, but it's out of character.
Oh, totally, 100%.
It's out of character.
Yeah.
Now
I walked around.
I'll tell you, I don't like this guy. Drop this guy off on the street. Go find my husband. I don't like him.
I walked around 14, 15 years out of character. I don't know how people stand it to be around me, because I was an a-hole 24/7, and so I was amazed that when I finally got to a better place and I was able to look back at how it was, it's like, I don't know how people remained my friends for so long.
Well, how long did it take for you? Because your military service was first. Before somebody said something, or before you realized this, I can't do this anymore.
So, I started having the effects in the summer, fall of 2002. I met Meg in 2013. So here it was 11 years later. And when I met her, I told her, I said, I know everything's not 100% upstairs. I know I'm having some issues. And I'm not really sure what it all is. I'd never been evaluated, diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. I want to say it was 2014. I saw a gentleman from Wounded Warrior speak, and we both looked at each other. And I realized I was seeing me. And that's when the light bulb started to come on that I needed to get help. But it really wasn't until 2015 that Meg was like, look, your actions are, not to say they were wrong, that they weren't appropriate. And so it was 2015, I first started to get therapy, but it wasn't the right therapy. And it wasn't until the end of 2016 that I actually went and sat down with a psychologist for the first time, did an evaluation, and she said, yes, 100%, you have severe PTSD, you know, you need therapy, and if you're willing to give 100% effort, I'll give you 100% effort, but you've got to be all in. I said, yep, I'm all in, let's do this. I know I'm struggling really bad. And we were set to start my therapy right after the holidays, 2017. And it was January 7th, just a few days before I was supposed to start, is a simple disagreement between Meg and I. And, you know, by now we're talking 15 years, 15 years almost of struggling with everything I was fighting inside, not sleeping, that it just exploded. And I became irrational. And the first thought that came in my head was, if I kill myself, I won't hurt her anymore, and the pain that I wrestle with every day will be gone. Wow. So, yep. But Meg was the first really notice. I want to say it was probably 2014, definitely 2015.
Honey, it didn't take long to realize that you had PTSD. I'll be honest.
I've been telling him for years.
Wait a minute.
You know what? And he knew it. I've been telling him for years.
Here's a big thing. As a first responder yourself, Meg, you were able to clue in on those signs. How about for those spouses that are not first responders that go, "Oh, you're just a dick," or you know, or
well, I think that's said too.
Or what did I get myself into? Yeah. You know, for those, you know, and that's why, like me and Sam stress these workshops, these family workshops, because it brings the non-spouse first responder in and says, and lets them learn about post-traumatic, lets them learn the trigger words, and lets them learn how to communicate because there are certain things she'll say to me, and I know they're caring, but either the tone or the inflection in her voice, and I'll automatically bow up, and I'll get into my head. It brings me back to working the streets and narcotics, and I'm like, how did you say, you know, and
yes,
and
I'll look, and then in turn I turn around and I get,
and it shouldn't be like that.
Brothers, and
it shouldn't be like that.
Yo, back up. Get out of my bubble. You know, don't come at me. I'm loving you. I'm trying to help you.
But you as a first responder, Meg, you saw that. You were able to pick up on that. There are so many out there. There's so many first responder spouses out there that don't know how to deal with it, or don't know how to pick up on it.
John, on that too is, I think that, you know, we talk about breaking the stigma and getting our veterans, our first responders to say, hey, I need help. I'm struggling. I think at the same time.
Can you fix your mic?
Your volume, yeah.
Can you
volume's low.
Yeah, better.
Okay. So I was saying that, you know, we work so hard to break the stigma, to get our veterans and first responders to be willing to say, hey, I need help. At the same time, we need to break this stigma with the spouses to not be worried that if they go talk to someone about their spouse needing help, that their big concern is, if I say something, they're going to lose their job. Because when we talk to spouses, that's the thing I hear the most is, well, if I go say that Meg's struggling, I'm worried she's going to lose her job. Well, what's more important, that I have Meg here, or that she has a job? Well, and I think that's one of the things we have to break too.
That's one thing. Like, I don't know that I would have went to my husband's job, although I did speak to a couple of the guys in his firehouse years ago and said, you know, but at that time, what was that, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
They were kind of like,
really wasn't, PTSD wasn't
acknowledged yet.
Wasn't acknowledged.
Yeah. But let me tell you something. I've talked to 12 and Mongo and Bruce a lot before this
Those
happened.
are real people's names, by the way.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Bruce and Greg and Brian.
Yeah.
I did, and you, Sam. I did speak to you guys before, you know, stuff got out, you know, before he had his little meltdown. I don't know what to call it. You know, to me, it's not that kind of, you know, I kind of knew, and I would talk to people about it, and I would have them talk to him, and it was just always, okay, we let it go.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate when they're not ready to get help for themselves, but you know, when they get ready is when it's really going to work and happen. It's just like, you know, an alcoholic going to treatment. If they don't really want to get sober, they're going to go through the motions and do what they have to do to get out of that treatment and then go back to where they were, possibly. But with the reaching out part, most departments, and I say most because I know there's smaller departments and there's, you know, really, really small departments. There's usually a peer support team that works with you know, works with the officers. And I bet you 9 times out of 10, if the wife were to find out, you know, the phone number of, you know, to call the peer support team, that they would help her. And it's usually confidential. I mean, typically, I can't say that for everything, but our peer team is actually bound by law to be confidential. Right. So unless they're a danger to themselves or you know, others, or you know, that kind of stuff, then that's when that goes away. But I think, you know, to do some research goes a long way. So there's so much stuff out there right now about PTSD, and there's so much stuff out there. You know, to educate yourself is really another way to try to be able to understand what your husband or wife is going through.
Yeah, and you know, Rod, we got a comment here. Rod says there's no such thing as just a spouse of a first responder. You watch the effects and changes on us with little true context. That is a serious source of PTSD, just like us on the streets and in the stations. Yeah, absolutely true. And you know, when you have, you know, Meg, you are very open and guys, if you go on their website, which is marriedwithptsd.com, you can read more. But really, Eric's behavior and his what you talk, Eric, what you said is, you know, when you became suicidal, you know, Meg, that triggered you, and you were like, whoa. So how do you become like a support, because you don't want him to take his life while you're in the midst of how do you navigate that?
It was it was extremely difficult, but I think when you're in crisis, you're in survival mode. Your brain and body will do things that they normally can't or won't do for a substantial amount of time. And I became the helicopter wife. I became his only person. He wouldn't talk to anybody else. Now he has friends, which is great. They were always my friends. But I became the helicopter wife, and I sustained that for about 2 years. And then I crashed. So, you know, it affects everybody differently. But when you're not focused on yourself and it's always on your husband, you know, being a spouse of, you know, someone living with PTSD, it's extremely hard. And you might not know it in the beginning, but I literally, like, whenever it was it was over a year or two ago, September last year, got to the point where I just couldn't function anymore. And I had severe depression. And actually the tides changed, and he was actually being my support system for me. But like I said, it's just, you know, that's how the spouses are really, you know, affected. They're living and breathing this every single day, all day long.
On top of daily stresses and work. Mm-hmm. And it's,
you know, now you got married with PTSD, and you guys, I know you guys speak a lot at different conferences, and you're open about this. One thing, would you recommend, or do you see, or if you guys have done it, each of you have counselors or therapists, and I know that you cannot see, like, a spouse can't. You can go there and be part of their counseling unit, but they can't do a joint thing because of certain confidential things that you speak about. Have you guys ever did a mutual counselor to help cope with this?
Yes.
Yes, and last September was my rock bottom, and I ended up going to the chateau myself, just like you, John, and for a month. And after that, I continued on with therapy, and we had a marriage counselor through their Stepstone Connect, I believe it's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And she was amazing. And learning how to not be codependent, because when I became that helicopter wife, I was super codependent on Eric, and Eric was super codependent on me. But we got through a lot of stuff, and we were able to talk about stuff in a safe place instead of, trying to talk to your husband who may be a little agitated, and you say, honey, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or something, and it becomes a huge blowout. There's someone to help you navigate. And we probably need to go back. But we took a little hiatus because she said we were doing great. So, but again, I think it's almost like you need a tune up every now and then. So the counseling was perfect, a couples counselor, and she didn't see either one of us on the side.
And
now,
really
plus you got your two wonderful dogs.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We do.
We can't stop the show without discussing on your, the therapy dogs that you have, bond you guys together in another service dogs in another fashion as well, correct? Because you take them everywhere you go, especially you're in Vegas now, and they want to go gamble, and you guys have got them locked up in a hotel.
No, today as a matter of fact, this morning when we went to get our massages, they were right there with us, and so yeah, they go.
I think he's asking to see Denny.
You want to see Denny
and Tybee?
Yes.
Is that what you?
Yes,
bring
just
them out.
bring them on, and if they can,
Tybee,
if you guys don't mind.
Denny, here. Denny. Sit.
They were chilling.
Tybee.
The babies. The
There they are.
babies.
Now-
That's great.
Did you get the dogs at the same time? Or
No, Eric got his 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
3 years ago Thanksgiving.
3 years ago Thanksgiving, and I just was gifted Tybee July of last year, so I've had her for over a year now.
That's
I didn't have her
awesome.
with me at Chateau, but I was we had a nice reunion in Salt Lake City though.
Oh, now do you feel a lot of people don't know too much about service or therapy dogs? Does it really bond you? Does it bring you down? Yes, I know Sam's got hers as well. What does it do for you mentally? Because a lot of people who are not first responders or don't know anything about dogs don't know.
Dogs are trained.
So,
yeah.
Right.
So Denny, for me, with everything I have going on with
Eric, lean closer to the mic.
Yeah, so
There we go.
Denny, for me, everything I have going on with post-traumatic stress, he is trained to start alerting on me, excuse me, when I'm having a trigger. So if he senses that my cortisol level's going up, he sees me starting to get agitated or on edge, he will come up and he'll alert on me. And as I like to say, it stops the hamster wheel from spinning, which usually helps me, come down. And the other thing he does is he is trained in nightmare interruption. Now, before I went and got therapy, before my suicide attempt, if I slept 2 hours a night, that was a good night of sleep. And then after therapy, I started sleeping a little bit better. But now Denny will wake me up, or he basically sleeps on top of me, and I'll get 5-6 hours of sleep, which is phenomenal for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because like I said, I went probably 15 years functioning on 1 to 2 hours of sleep a night.
Not healthy at all.
Nope. And so, and before Denny, Meg would agree, I hated going to Walmart. Hated it. Too crowded for me, too much anxiety, too much stress. I could not be in that environment. But now with Denny, I'll go to a store. I don't mind too much being in a crowded place. But without him, I can't do it.
How about you, Meg?
So Tybee is trained for PTSD as well. She alerts on my anxiety tics, breaks that cycle of, repetitive motion. Sometimes you're just fidgeting, or, you're tapping your foot, or and then also she will smell my cortisol levels, and she'll provide deep pressure therapy, which brings everything down for me. So she alerts me, and then obviously just having her, I mean, is amazing. Service dogs are different than therapy dogs.
Right.
We kind of did a double duty at the Blue Help Gala, or in the Blue Help conference, because we would take their vests off and let the kids pet them, and they were kind of like comfort therapy dogs in that sense, but they are tied to us. Like I have a bond with Tybee. He has a bond with Denny, and so it's the same. You know, it's hard to explain, but service dogs are completely different than therapy dogs or facility dogs or comfort dogs.
Right. So you got 2 service dogs in the home, right?
Yeah.
Both able to recognize the scent of cortisol, right? Will one go to the other?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Before I had Tybee, Denny would be on like all over me at sometimes, and I'm like, "What's going on? What are you doing?" You know, and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's sensing something." Or if I'm not in a good mood, Eric would see that Denny would be next to me as opposed to him. And Denny woke me up from a nightmare that I had. So he's trained on movement and stuff. So he doesn't matter if you're tapping your foot or Eric's tapping his foot. Both of you are going to get alerted on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. Perfect sense. Because I think when we did our workshop with 3 for the Love, remember Sam? And Chester was
Jay. Yeah.
Chester was running around just hitting on almost everybody in the workshop to try to make everybody calm. So I was wondering how that works, because I'm not very familiar with service dogs. Like Sam, probably the first person I know that has.
Which of your dogs, Sam, is your dog?
Well, Frodo's my dog, and we went through special training, but the difference is Frodo is trained as a therapy dog. He's not a service dog. So there's a clear distinction, delineation, paperwork, visible tag, on the tags and stuff like that. Now he comes with me a lot of places, and he definitely, if I am super stressed, if I'm super stressed, he knows.
Yeah.
And it's just in his nature. He just kind of came that way, I think, because he's so low key. He's like, "Hey, Mom, you're stressing me out, so I need to bring you down."
Like Simba,
but he's not. He is not. Just to clarify, he's not a service dog. He's a therapy dog, and God bless. Just shout out to Patriot Paws, right, guys? The Patriot Paws is where you got your dogs. Is that where?
Oh no,
I got mine from Disabled Veteran.
So they just share. Okay, so they share the same looking vest. So my apologies.
Oh,
but yes. Paws, you're awesome. So Meg, you got your dog from
Canine Champions for Veterans.
Sweet. And Eric?
Disabled Veteran.
Okay, so you guys, check it out, support a cause, because sometimes, even if you don't have post-traumatic stress, but you're having constant stress that is causing overwhelm and burnout, if you don't have people, dogs are great.
And
goes a long way.
Yeah, and speaking about the therapy dogs, I would say anybody that's listening, that's a first responder, if your department does not have a therapy dog as part of the peer support or SISM team, go to your department and tell them the research. Getting a therapy dog as a member of the peer support or SISM team, more and more departments are doing it, and they're finding out how successful it is to bring those dogs to a station, a roll call, whatever it is, and how much it lowers the stress and anxiety level amongst people. It is amazing. Matter of fact, John, I think NYPD, it's either NYPD or FDNY just brought on 2 or 3 of them.
Oh, did I have not been, I didn't hear, but I'll reach out to some of the guys and I'll find out. But getting back onto the dogs, this is a resource. When we talk about, there's so many different resources out there between EMDR, brain spotting, either heroes on the water, going out on the water and laking, hiking. So instead of just couch therapy, some people don't need a service or a therapy dog is just another resource. So if you're a veteran's wife or a first responder's wife, and you're like, well, I'm just at my wit's end, maybe look into it. Maybe look into one of the dogs, and a service dog or a therapy dog may be the key to making that happy household. It may bring in a divide where now the dog is your mediator, so to speak. You know, it's just that some people don't think about that. There's a lot of people that don't go, oh wow, maybe a therapy or a service dog. Go do your research, and I'm sure there's plenty of organizations out there that do the training and will walk you through it.
And John, I think another one on that, and
come close, Eric.
Oh, you know, another one on that is Meg thought of the idea of a service dog long before I did. And one of the things I always said, and I think a lot of us say it, I'm sure Sam, you said, I'm sure you've said the same thing, John, is, well, someone else needs it more than I do. You know, someone else needs a service dog. Someone else needs this free therapy, or someone else needs whatever it is more than I do. So I never felt I was deserving enough. And so it wasn't until I actually went to the program that I realized how much it changed me and how much it helped me.
Yeah,
So,
That's great. So guys, it's your anniversary. So happy anniversary. And I am looking at the clock. I am like so engrossed in the conversation. We have gone past time. We would like, I would just gonna say, we'd like to have you back to do like a part 2.
Sure.
If that's okay. And we'll schedule that when you guys have the time to do that. I want to thank you so much for your time. You have shed light on, I think, so many things that people kind of hold close, because like they want to paint a picture of a perfect family or nothing's wrong, and where we really need to just get real with each other and get the help together and or apart if we need it. What would be your message as we wrap up here to veterans and first responders out there?
I would say if I was talking to veterans and first responders, I would definitely go back and tell them that, you know, that their mental status or mental illness affects their family, their kids, their dogs, their spouses or significant others, whatever you want to call it. But basically that, you know, even though you're the one suffering, your family is too. And that's something that needs to be addressed and taken care of.
Yep.
Agreed.
Awesome. Eric, what about you?
So for me, the one that I always try to remember, and I try to tell people when they're very resistant about it, and we always talk about the stigma around mental health, is we need to quit thinking of mental health, or I would tell any first responder or veteran, don't look at mental health as something taboo. Mental health is no different than physical health. It is a medical disease. It's something wrong medically. If your leg's broken, you go to a doctor and you get your leg fixed. Well, if something's broken in your head, you go to a doctor and you get it fixed. And that's what we need to start looking at, is an injury to our brain is no different than any other injury. And so don't listen to the hype, the stereotyping, the stigmas, all that. Go get the help you need, not only for yourself, but for your spouse, for your family.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yes, I am. I'm taking notes and writing this in the comment. Has John knows we can't type, talk, and do all this at the same time. But yeah, thank you guys so much again. We'll definitely be in touch to schedule a part 2, because I think there's a lot more to touch on that you guys can just open everybody's eyes to. Again, go have fun.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Lucky number 7. We love you guys. Enjoy.
Love you too.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Thanks so
Have
much.
a safe flight back.
So
Take
much.
care.
Guys, marriedwithptsd.com is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. That's how you can reach Meg and Eric. There's a contact, and you can reach out directly to them. John, yeah, so much more to touch on. You know, you and I, we've got and the whole team at A Badge of Honor, we touch on family stuff. We're going to expand that family issues and discussion in 2022. We are finishing 2021 with some amazing first responder workshops. And so if you were listening tonight, you are a first responder or your family member of please pass on the website, abadgeofhonor.com. Friday, not this Friday, a week from this Friday, November 5th, we are having our workshop here in Garland, Texas. So if you're within like an hour's drive, come on out. All the registration information is on the website. And if the following Friday, we are out in East Texas. So if you are within an hour's drive of Tyler, we want to shout out to Lindale PD for sponsoring us there and bringing us in. Please go to our website and register for those workshops. Again, it's for active first responders, so law enforcement, firefighters, EMS, dispatch, forensics, DA investigators. If you're an active first responder, sign up for the workshops, because your brain health is number one for us to talk about, and it's number one for you to learn how to be aware and to solve when the stuff comes up. And we got the resources for you too, because we're not docs. We just been there, right? So we got the docs, but
and you're not alone. And you're not alone.
Absolutely not.
You're not,
as you heard from Meg.
You know, with Meg and Eric. You know, post-traumatic stress is more common than you think. It took Eric a long time to be diagnosed. It took me almost 10 years before I was diagnosed. And Sam, I think you went many years without getting that clinical diagnosis. So, you know, you're not alone. This is a common injury amongst our first responders. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Nothing to be to hide in the closet over. But it's something that is workable. It can be fixed. It can be healed, and it can be, you know, you'll learn your coping mechanisms. So you don't have to live the way you are with the nightmares and constantly going down that rabbit hole or putting the stress on your family.
Yes, and also in November, don't forget Veterans Day on the 11th, and the 22nd is Walk the Bridge, bringing awareness to veteran and first responder suicide. With
Walk the Bridge, big announcement for November 22nd. I don't know if you heard about it yet, Sam. Announcement for the 22nd of November. Hashtag Walk the Bridge in Rowlett. Dave Bray, USA. Dave Bray, USA. Look him up. He is a Navy corpsman who has turned his life to music. He has played for the president. He is a national touring musician. He does the most patriotic songs. He is all about first responders and veterans. Come on out. He will be blasting out a couple of songs at the bridge, starting at 6 p.m. And then he'll be leading off our walk on November 22nd. So come on out, starting at 6 p.m. at Heroes Memorial Bridge in Rockwall, Texas.
Okay, and that's walkthebridge.org for more information, and we'll get that up on the website for sure. Yes. So thank you guys all for sticking around, joining us tonight. We wish you all the best. For all your first responders, we are praying for you every single day, and know that we have your back no matter what. And for all of the veterans out there and everybody coming back from Afghanistan and that debacle, you're right here on our hearts. We're thinking about you and praying for you as well. So until next week, everybody, John, take us home.
If you can be anything in this world, please be kind.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.